So I'm definitely gonna keep these. I will store them away somewhere in my desk because at this point I do think I will go back to this book, obviously, at some point. When I vlogged about doing this for NaNoWriMo in October, I'm like, my excitement was real. I really thought I was ready to do it. But over the last week, I've been wondering how much of this can I actually blame on my anxiety and how much of it is just either I'm actually not ready to jump back into this story, or I'm not as ready as I thought I was, or maybe that whole, oh, I'm gonna try pantsing it thing, which as you guys know I failed at, is what threw me off, and it wasn't plotted out enough for me to feel good about jumping into it November 1st. I mean, look, the anxiety that first week of November was real. Like, I genuinely could barely function. I was barely getting my work, like under contract work, done efficiently. So I know that did play a role in it, but I don't know, whatever spark I had, whatever excitement I had in October, that first week of November killed it for this book, for now. I do think at some point in the future I will go back to it. There's a reason I haven't given up on this world and these characters even after, you know, 4 or 5 versions over the last 6 years at this point. But anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk about today. I am leaving this beat sheet kind of thing up because a couple days ago I had an idea for something new. Alright, I'm gonna try an experiment here. I'm gonna take this treat and put it on the edge of the bed and see how long it takes her to come for it. Rosa is a weird lab. Like, all the labs I've known before are trash monsters. They will eat literally anything. And Rosa has an appetite. Like, she wolfs her food down. But when I give her something she's never had before, she like tests it out. She's really tentative and hesitant about it. And I can do stuff like this, like put a treat right here, and she sees it. You see it, Rosa? Look. I know you see it. Okay, there she goes. But it's so slow. It's like, what kind of lab are you? What is this? Earlier this week, I had an idea for a new book. This is a BFD for me. I'll put it this way, and I think everybody who watches any of my videos, you're writers, so you're gonna get what I'm saying here. We always get lots of ideas, but like, for me at least, most of my ideas, 95% of them, are like, oh, that's a great idea for a book that I wish somebody else would write so I could read it. But rarely do I get an idea that like I really latch onto and I want to write it myself. And I hesitated about even vlogging about this. I kind of reached for my camera a few times Monday and Tuesday, and then I put it away because I almost didn't want to jinx it, because I've talked about this before, but like back in 2019, which feels like 50 effing years ago, I kept getting new ideas for books, and I would tell my agent about them, and then I would start them. I would like write a pitch and maybe a little synopsis, and then I'd write a chapter or two, and then it would just fizzle. And it wasn't ever the ideas. Like, I look back on those ideas and I'm like, oh yeah, no, those are good ideas. It was like where I was mentally. I was so down on myself and my career, and just thought, it doesn't matter what I write, I don't know, I'm never gonna sell it, so why bother? That mentality really took over for me for like the better part of 2 years, honestly. So I was afraid of documenting about this in any way or vlogging it, because I don't want to jinx it, because I so miss getting excited about something brand new. It's just been so long since that's happened. But I reached that stage last night where, you know, that tipping point you hit where all of a sudden you're like, all of the ideas for different characters and different plot points and connections start gushing out of you, and that was me last night. And I really hit a point where I feel like I want to write this book. Like, this is the next thing I want to write, and I'm excited about it. Do I still feel the whole, what's the point, I'm never gonna sell it feeling? To be totally honest, yes. First of all, because we've talked about this before, I know everybody's talking about this, but with COVID going on, with everything that's happening right now, this is just a rough time to be querying for an agent, and it's a rough time to be on submission. That, of course, does not mean that you can't sell anything. Like, deals, check Publishers Weekly, there are deals being made every week. People can sell books. So I'm trying not to let that part get me down, because that's just saying, oh, I'm gonna give up before I even try, and that's not me, that's not who I am. I always want to try. The other thing, and this is personal to me, is that I've had conversations with my agent and a few editors where we've basically talked about how I would have a better shot going on submission next with young adult or adult instead of middle grade, because with the exception of one co-authored novel, all of my novels are middle grade, and that's my sales track record. And if I were trying to sell young adult or adult, my track record in middle grade wouldn't matter so much, because publishers know that you're just aiming for an entirely different audience. But trying to sell something else in middle grade is going to be a real uphill battle for me, because my track record is pretty mediocre as far as sales go. And again, that doesn't mean it's impossible, but it is just gonna make it a little more difficult for me. And what I found myself doing Monday night and Tuesday, and I was texting with a friend about this and kind of finally realized what I was doing, is I was trying to force this idea to be young adult, only because I thought that it would have a better chance of selling if I stuck with it and finished it. And then I realized that that's ridiculous for a whole lot of reasons, but mostly because it's a middle grade idea. It is solidly a middle grade idea, and it would just be counterproductive and pointless for me to try to force it to be something it's not. And you know what? I'm a middle grade author. I just love middle grade. Middle grade feels magical and special to me. It reminds me of my best reading experiences, which were when I was a child and I would just get lost in books. So this is a middle grade novel. I'm still not at the fully outlining, going nuts stage. Like, I think I'm gonna let my whiteboard here just kind of sit there, and I'm gonna stare at those beats. But for right now, I'm gonna like splash around in the shallow end and hopefully move closer to the deep end, you know what I mean? With the idea, and just like developing it and letting myself play with the potential of what it could be. I'm not putting any deadlines on myself for this. You guys know that I preach writing a novel fast when you have an idea that grabs you, and I stand by that. I think there is you could do yourself some serious harm waiting and waiting and waiting forever, and only ever brainstorming or world building or planning and plotting and never actually writing the draft, because it does turn into procrastination at a point. But that said, there's a percolation stage that's important, and I need to let myself sit in that stage for a little bit longer, I think, before I really dive in and give this thing a shot. So right now I am finishing up a outline for a ghostwriting client. I have a couple more things to do for this video game project, but that is pretty close to lockdown as well. Deadlines are being met. My schedule is looking very manageable in December, and I'm kind of hoping that over the holidays I will kind of be getting into draft mode and excited to be working on just a book that's totally for me and for fun, and maybe not for sale, because I really, really have missed that. And I'm still so disappointed that the Coney Island thing kind of fell apart for me and the NaNoWriMo thing kind of fell apart the way that it did. So yeah, fingers crossed, please, that this idea sticks, that this is gonna be the thing that I'm gonna be working on for the next couple months. Let me know how the ideas stage works for you. Do you get a ton of ideas, but most of them aren't ideas you actually wanna write? Or are ideas really like few and far between for you? How does that process work for you? And how long is your percolation stage? Because I have to keep an eye on myself here. I can't let percolation turn into procrastination. That feels like some sort of motto to live by, I don't know. Anyway, that's gonna be it for me. I will see you guys on Monday with another workshop video, and I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. See you Monday. Bye.